Hey guys, Tom from Cerulean Bay here, and today we are going to get into a product review about some cool wood carvings from Fiji. We've got the Fijian lover's statue, which we're going to show you guys in just a minute here. But just a quick note about imports right now coming out of the South Pacific, at least for us anyway. It is still a time-consuming effort just because it seems like staffing levels at whether it's the UPS or DHL or even the Postal Service, are just not what they were prior to COVID. So it does take a while sometimes to get these things in. Things are sitting in customs longer than we'd like them to. So we are relying heavily on the US Postal Service. They do give us the best rates, but it is the slowest service. So I just wanted to throw that out there that if anybody is getting online, checking out our online store at ceruleanbay.com, and you're wondering maybe why things are still out of stock, or there used to be this really cool Kava bowl or something that we carried and it's still not in there. It just seems like the service isn't what it used to be. But anyways, having said that, I wanted to show you guys this particular statue that we had. It's an older, I don't want to call it the older model, but it's an older one that we've had for a number of years. There was a wood carver that I was dealing with, and he was really great, beautiful work, just absolutely beautiful work. But it was a challenge to get orders in consistently from him because in addition to carving for people like me, he's also very heavily involved with some resorts in Fiji. And there is a particular resort that he carves for. They've hired him to carve exclusively for guests now. It's the Turtle Island Resort for anybody who might be familiar with Fiji. This is in the Western Island group, and it's very close to where the movie Castaway was filmed with Tom Hanks. And so it's a very popular place to go, but Turtle Island keeps them busy. Lots of honeymooners down there. So anyways, this lover's statue, we've got two of them left. We've got a 10-inch and a 12-inch. So this is what it looks like when the statue is standing up on its own. It's actually very cool, very classic Fijian look with the way that it's carved. The imagery of a man and a woman in love goes way back in time there. And the artist that was actually carving this told me that his family has been carving it for generations. It goes that far back, the design style of this. So I do have a new wood carver who I'm working with there, and I was able to connect with him through a network of artists who I am connected with in Fiji. And he does beautiful work. He does awesome warrior clubs and statues like this. He doesn't do the Kava bowls, which we're going to get into in a separate episode. So now there is yet a third wood carver who I've been introduced to, and I've ordered some samples from him. But my new guy who does these statues does it in this style where you can see it also sits flat, but then the figures are kind of on a sloped base that you can see right here. So it differs from this one. And as I mentioned, I've only got two of these left, a 10-inch and a 12-inch, and then I can't get any more. And they are on our website. This guy here, I've got 5 of these in stock, and they are all about 15 inches tall. He does them in one size. And this has a wonderful story behind it because this is actually something he had never done until I connected with him and asked him if he could do it. And how this came about was I got an order one day from a customer in Los Angeles for a Kava bowl because her parents had lost their home in the Palisades fire in LA. They lost everything and they had a lot of mementos from world travels and stuff. She said that the Kava bowl that I had in stock looked identical to the one that her parents had. And she went ahead and placed the order for it. And I said, I've got one left and I don't think I'll be able to get any more because the wood carver who made it passed away. He was an older guy out there. So I went ahead and filled her order for the Kava bowl, and she thanked me when she got it. It was a surprise for her parents. And she said her mom cried her eyes out because she was literally able to replicate this bowl that they had lost in the fire. And I thought, oh my God, this is just so cool. This is one of the reasons I just love what I do. I love what I do here. So then she said, hey, is there maybe a way that you can have this statue made from the wood carver that you're working with? She said that she saw the picture of the one that I have on there for sale from the other wood carver from the resort, but it wasn't really close enough to one that her parents had. And she was wondering if there was a way that maybe I would be able to have something replicated in a different style. So she sent me a picture of it, but it was like super blurry. And I thought, oh my gosh, what am I going to do with this? So I sent it to my guy down there and I said, "Hey, how are the Warrior Clubs coming?" And he said, "Yeah, I'm working on them. They're coming along." I said, "Here's a picture of a lover's statue. Is this something that you can make?" And he replied back and said, "Wow, that's a real blurry picture and I've never made one." And then he asked, "Is there a way maybe the customer has a better picture?" I said, "Let me check." So I went back and I said, "Hey, this picture is a little bit too blurry for him to work with. Do you happen to have anything else?" And I was really hoping and praying she would, because I wanted to pull this off for her, where I could have this guy make something he's never made and it's helping somebody whose house had burned down. So she did happen to find another picture, and it was the one where the wood carver was sitting on the ground. He was packing it up and it was laying on the floor there. And I could see on the side that it had a name. And so I said, "Hey, that's a great picture." I said, "What's the name on the side?" And she goes, "Oh, there was a name here." And she said it was my mom's name, and over here it was my dad's name. And so she gave me those names and she said, "Is there a way that he could carve those in?" And so I said, "Hey," I checked with him and he said, "Yeah, I can do that too." So he said, "Yeah, I'll go ahead and do it." And it was not very expensive. He really did me a favor because it was like the first time he's doing it and just because of the circumstances. So about 2 weeks later, he sends me a picture and he says, "It's done." And I'm like, "That looks really cool." And around that time, my customer emailed me and she said, "Hey, how's it going?" So I said, "I've got a picture. Let me send it to you." So I sent her the picture. She absolutely loved it. So we were both like super excited. So about a week later, I received the package and I was just shocked. I'm like, "This is absolutely beautiful. I love it." So I took a picture of it. I sent it to my customer. She said, "Oh my God, it looks even better." So forwarded it out to her, sent it with UPS. She got it in a few days and she was just in love with it. And she surprised her mom with this. And she said her mom cried her eyes out and her dad was trying to fight back tears. And so here she was able to replace two pieces from Fiji that they had lost in the fire. One, I just happened to have that kava bowl. I had one left in her size. And now this lover statue, which the woodcarver had never even done. So it was such an inspiration. It was just such a heartwarming thing for me to do. And to know that I could do this, at least for somebody out in LA. And that just goes to show you one of the reasons why I'm doing what I'm doing. It's just a way to connect people with very unique pieces. And for people who have traveled, people spend a lot of hard-earned money on these trips. And she said that was something that her parents did. And they were reasonably well-to-do, but these were not wealthy people, but they made it a point to travel with their children to show them the world. And they brought back some really cool pieces and then to lose it all. And she said she was working with a couple other artists in other countries to try to replace certain things. And I hope she's doing well with that. But anyways, that, as I said, it just goes to show you one of the reasons why we're doing what we're doing. These pieces, when you're traveling and you come across something that just has a lot of meaning to it, the sentimental value, we've got a podcast episode on sentimental value, and I've got a blog post about it as well. It really means a lot. To some people, it really means a lot. And that's important to my wife and I. Sentimental value means a lot. I mean, there's just no other way to say it. So anyways, that's the story behind the lover statue. I did tell my customer, because of you, I'm going to order now at least 5 of these to get a little bit of inventory going in our store. And my wood carver was absolutely thrilled that everybody loved his work. And for him, who had never done this piece of work before, to know that his work is going to be in a home that's currently being rebuilt out there in the big US of A, he told me it really means a lot. So that's what we do. We're going to have some other cool pieces for you. I want to start showcasing some of the other work that we have, which prior to this YouTube channel, we were not able to do. So we did it in blog posts, and I do have a lot of that in our blog post at ceruleanbay.com. But until then, I want to thank you so much for everything, for all the support, for checking in with us, and for watching this episode. So we will see you again soon. Take care. Bye-bye.